Hello, Trekkies and Trekkers. Welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Trek Tuesday. I'm your host, Arenda, and I recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek TNG. Today, we recap the episode The Most Toys. But first, a note of the host of this podcast. I'm still looking for a Trek fan who wants and have the time to recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek with me. That also means that I have decided to rename the podcast because Ghost Recon Trek was something from me and Amanda. If you are interested, please let me know. I would appreciate it if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. And now for the plot of the episode. The Enterprise D is called to assist the colony on planet Beta Ari 2 with their contaminant water supply. They meet with trader Kifas Fajo, who happens to have the extremely rare compound needed to neutralize the contamination. The volatile substance cannot be beamed aboard, so Lieutenant Commander Data is assigned to make several shuttle trips to collect it. Just before the final trip, Data is kidnapped and his shuttle is rigged to explode. The Enterprise crew believe he is dead and continue their mission to the colony. Data is reactivated and met by Fajo, who explains he collects rare and valuable objects, like Data himself. The gallery where Data is to be displayed has a reinforced door preventing escape, and Fajo himself is protected by a personal force field preventing Data from physically attacking him. Fajo asks Data whatever he is capable of killing, and Data states he is programmed with a fundamental respect for life in all its forms. Data remains defiant against Fajo's attempts to make him an object of display. Fajo shows Data a Farron T disruptor, a weapon bent for causing an extremely painful death, and summons his assistant Varia. Only seconds away from Fajo using the disruptor on Varia, Data agreed to follow Fajo's orders. The crew mourns the loss of their friend. Picard and Riker select Worf as Data's replacement. Geordi lets you note that Data did not follow standard procedures prior to the explosion, suggesting something is amiss. At the contaminated colony, the Enterprise crew discover the contamination had been caused deliberately. They deduce Fajo caused the outbreak and used the cure to lure the Enterprise and Data to him. Varia helps Data escape, but Fajo is alerted and kills Varia with the disruptor. After Data picks up Varia's disruptor, Fajo threatens to kill more of his assistants if Data doesn't comply with his demands. Fajo goads Data into shooting him, believing that his program won't allow him to and his lack of emotion won't drive him to kill in revenge. Data coldly concludes he cannot allow Fajo to kill Allah and points the disruptor at Fajo. The Enterprise arrives and suddenly beams Data back aboard. Commander Riker asks why his disruptor was discharging, and Data enigmatically suggests that something may happen during transport. Fajo is taken into custody and all his possessions are returned to their rightful owners. So, I'm going to rewatch this episode. I hope you do too, and then I will be back to recap it. Stay tuned, don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. So right away we are seeing that there was a problem with the water supply, and they bought some substance of this trader Fajo, and I will come to Fajo in a minute. But the first thing I noticed is how small the shuttle is. I thought they were bigger than that, and of course the name of the shuttle is Pike, which made me a bit of amusement in the way of, yeah, Pike is still a big captain or big admiral in the fleet. And so it is very nice to see that they have thoughts of former captains, etc. When Data is loading the last load in, he wanted to travel back to the Enterprise, but he's been kidnapped by this woman. And later in the episode we see that she is a captive as well. But Fajo, oh my god, Fajo, I don't like him. Oh, what we as Dutch people say, we have this saying, they put the blood on our nails. So it's not even annoying, it's really like cringing. And I had that feeling with Fajo a lot. He doesn't have, he's a coward. He is someone who doesn't care about life. He doesn't care about anything, only having these particular items and he being protected. And once again we see in this episode that Data is acting humanly. So when Data he woke up in this chamber with all, well, exquisite things that has been stolen by Fajo. And what really made me angry and cringe for was that Fajo thought he could manipulate Data to bend his will to his will. And Data did that. He composed himself and even he acted like he was broken. So there was no grip on Fajo. But Fajo, and that is really weird. And that was really weird also from Data's side. He is an android. He has no feelings. But still he cares. Of course he has some kind of a prime directive for himself that he has to respect all life. And I say that because in the end, when the Enterprise is beaming him back to the Enterprise, he was shooting Fajo. So somewhere in his program, he decided, okay, Fajo is a risk for all living beings and has to be destroyed. So we are now at the scene that the shuttle is returning back to the Enterprise, but explode before it comes to the Enterprise, which make the Enterprise crew think that Data had died. And and even Worf was shocked. This is the first and maybe the only time we see him being shocked. Fajo is hailing the Enterprise, and he played dumb. And that is one thing I hated about him, is that he's playing dumb and tried to play everyone in his hand. And he comes over to be like a very careful person, but in fact he is not. He doesn't even consider it life, and he's being good to it. And so Fajo is one person you better can be gone with and don't want to meet him, because he is, well, like I said, you have some of the characters that will tear you apart in the way of that being evil, and or as I always also call him, fake. He is really a man that you don't want to encounter. Although this is a very complicated scene, and they are establishing now where they have to find some more of the hydrotium. But a little note offside. Did you see how slick Wesley's hair is? He never have it like that. It's all hairspray or hair gelated or whatever else. Poor guy. When they wake up in that chamber or room, and he asking himself what he's doing there, and Fajo and the lady has come in, Fajo almost get an orgasm just because Data is like perfect, you know. But Data is holding against his will at Fajo's, and so he wanted to leave. But Fajo programmed the room that all of the doors in that way that he couldn't get out because of the force fields, etc. And Fajo's being very stupid again. He when he tried to explain to Data why Data is there, he just act like Data was someone who wasn't that intelligent, or well, in society's ranking, you know. He admired Data, but in one way he tried to manipulate him as well in doing things that he wanted to. And Fajo's becoming very annoying through the whole episode. Like I said, I don't like him. And he always, in that way, he's a bit of a Ferengi. Yes, he is like a Ferengi with stolen merchandise and only have, and it's not the case of having money with Fajo, but it is more like he want those special objects, and for Data is for him like a perfect toy, and he act like that too. It's not a fine character piece of anyone to be like Fajo. Fajo is even captive a little beast. it is disgusting how enthusiastic he is to show Data all his prizes. And I almost gagged of this episode because it's just disgusting how he is. And Data still comprehends what the hell is going on. Even for a android, you know? Jordy and Wesley are in one way remembering Data because they are in his room now, and they see his violin, his cards, etc., and trying to think of to who his stuff is going. But you know, Jordy doesn't believe Data is gone. He said there is something wrong with all of this, etc. And what do we have to do now? And then they started listening to the playbacks of recordings of the whole accident, what Data said, etc. And they noticed something weird. And Jordy finds Data's all high medals of Starfleet. And what makes me think of, in one way, they are just getting, or, well, it's a bit of a strange thing. In one way, they admire him, they give him the highest honors, etc. And but in the other hand, he's still an android, and they limited him in some of the things he was doing. And that's what I think. He found a friend in, as well as Jordy, as is in Wesley, but also in Captain Picard, because Captain Picard was like a mentor for him, with playing him, of course, Sherlock Holmes and other plays that make him experience the human thing of being human. And we have said it a lot of time, including Amanda, that Data, although he was an android, he fought and showed a lot of humanity. And you think an android can't do that, but it ends up in having sins. And when you see in Picard how close Soji is as in Data, and of course we have the whole thing of Nguyen Sung, of course, etc. It's in a way, it's weird. And once again, I remembered that movie with Robin Williams, that a robot wants to become a human. And I see that in Data as well. And sometimes Data is more human than an android. And I think that is why he has been so loved, is a loved character in many ways. Jordy is blaming himself for the accident. And later on we see that he is getting nightmares about it. And that's when the survey is going to start. They're going to investigate what really happened. And it was thanks to Jordy that he is so persistent that they found out what Fajo really did. and that Data was probably still alive. Data is asking questions to this woman, and because she brought him new clothes, and she said that Fajo wants him to sit in the chair so he can bribe about to his friends, etc., and show him off. And Data asked very difficult and deep questions to the woman, and you can see that of course she doesn't like it, but it is weird that she finds it weird that Data has so much questions of human beings that held captive, and they would talk about the morality of Fajo. And she explains that you have to be loyal and obeying Fajo, because otherwise you will get punished, etc., etc. Well, Data isn't in a mood for obeying Fajo, so he's still gonna get the consequences of it. And yeah, like I said before, I don't like Fajo. He is really a person that, have to be locked up, because he is 9 of the 10 up to no good. And he is hurting more people than everyone else. And you know, it's disgusting how he is. Jordy is really frustrated with all of this. And he said, I run the facts, etc., hundreds of times, and I can't find any explanation. And I don't believe it, he said. So they are looking further and further, and what else happened and matters that will overcome the crew in researching, quote unquote, Data's dad. And I think the whole crew always had the beliefs in Data, and they're not only seeing him as a android. And I always have said that. I always liked about Data is that he, in one way, he is superior to us, but in one way he's also as an innocent as a child, because he's still in exploring and getting to know things to get experience in a human way, in a way. And Data always has this good, innocent thing to show you what really matters. They said that it was a pilot error from Data, and of course Jordy doesn't believe that. An android doesn't make mistakes. After Picard ordered Jordy to get some rest, I see that Jordy is getting nightmares about the whole accident. And that gives him the pushover to investigate it more deeply. So now Picard and Riker need to replace Data on the ops come, and they say both they want Worf on it. And I think Worf, it's on a Klingon ship, it's normal, you know, you replace a dead comrade. But even for Worf, you could see in how distressed Worf was to lose Data. And it reminds me again, and this is just a little scene I remember. I can't remember in which episode it was. there was a Klingon. Well, Data was reading in 10 forward, and this Klingon stumbled upon him, I think already drunk, and he dared Data with comical consequences, because Data had a very comical reply on that all. And it's just how Data was, and to relieve him and to get his position, that must be also a weird experience for Worf, because this is not what he expected, I think. And of course, Worf took head of security over from Tasha Yar. And I must say, security has always been Worf's strongest side and strongest point. So to see him in ops is a bit weird. We're back with Data and Fajo. Fajo is trying to pull him a leg, like he is provoking Data. He is asking about how Data sees life and death, and if he could kill, and etc, etc. And like I said, how more Fajo is acting like this, how more enemy he's getting. He is so is even more slacker and well, maybe in one way deadlier than a Ferengi. And like I said, I'm cringing the whole time in this episode. It's so disgusting how he is. And I said it before. Sorry guys, I'm repeating myself, but yeah, it's just hate him. So Fajo is telling them right away, well, you have a problem then, because I am your liberator and I'm no war with nobody. And in that way is of course a wrong way, because he also is contradicting himself. And of course Data noticed that and tried to talk and motivate him in a different way. But Fajo is Fajo. And the only thing we can hope is that or the Enterprise is coming for Data, or he will have someone who helps him escape. Oh yeah, right. And now he tries to be pitiful. He's telling Data of his youth, that he had a difficult youth and he lived on the street, right? And Fajo is so greedy. It's, well, I almost have vomit about it, how greedy he is. Luckily, in the end, we see that he will be captive as well and has signed over to the authorities. But for now, we see that Fajo is still trying his way with a freaking android. Fajo is throwing some liquid on Data, and normally it will harm the skin that we saw with that woman. I forgot her name a bit. But because Data is an android, he will not feel the burning sensation. I think it's some kind of an acid or something. And with this way, because he destroyed Data's uniform now, Data has to wear the clothes he is giving him. And So he is going to force Data in a way to get his way. Now we are in the corridors of the Enterprise, and Worf is going to start his first shift as ops. And we see Diana talking to him because she's concerned about him, and of course, what is it doing to him? What I did notice, guys, I don't know if you see it like that too, but it almost is like that Worf is less harsh in this episode. He tamed it a bit, maybe because of Data, I don't know. But I found him more harsh in other episodes than in this one. And maybe he played it like that. Maybe Michael Dorn played it like that because it is a sensitive subject, even if you're Klingon. Okay, this was a bit weird. So they talk into the turbo lift, and in the end, Worf said, "Okay, I appreciate your concerns," and then he went to his station. But when before Diana came on the bridge, she smiled slightly. So, question is why? So once again, Geordi and Wesley went over the whole communication, what Data had with the Enterprise when he was loading the that thing that they got from Fajo, and they noted the inconsistency in communication, how Data communicate, and that is how they find out something was wrong, and Data will probably be alive. So they are going to investigate more. We are back with Data now, and Fajo is want to show him off to one of his friends, but Data is totally still. It's like he is damaged or trying to play as a mannequin now. So Fajo totally fails, and at this time he also tells Data he will be punished for it. The Enterprise is now at Army Beta 2 and to investigate further, and meanwhile Wesley is putting the Enterprise in orbit. Picard ordered to launch the second probe, and instead of him calling Worf Mr. Worf, he said Mr. Data. So he is, it's one kind of a habit, I guess, but it's also as in, I don't know, I think Picard doesn't believe it either now that Data has exploded in that shuttlecraft accident. There is something wrong with the probe, and they say that there's nothing there. So Riker takes Worf and Dr. Crusher down to the planet to investigate more on what is happening. Meanwhile, we are back with Data, and Data is taking a good look at the Mona Lisa, and he's trying to smile as the Mona Lisa does. And then Fajo is coming in the room and he said, well, I want our relationships to change because I'm the puppet master and you are the puppet. In a sense. So, completely wrong again. And I don't know, do you know someone who is this creepy and greedy as Fajo? So then Faria, the woman, comes in and he asks her how long she have been there and together, and then Fajo wants to shoot Faria with this disruptor, legal disruptor, one that is forbidden by the Starfleet. And he wants to shoot Faria to that, kill Faria, to get things done with Data. When the away team had been beamed down, and they quickly analyzed that the water is not contaminated anymore. And Worf made the remark that it shouldn't be clear already because it takes several hours. And with a more deeper scan, they find out that it was Fajo who contaminated the water. So people had to buy that one bit of him and he could make money out of it. Dr. Crusher is being Dr. Crusher. This is how we know her, and that's how I love her. And I must say that, and that is weird, because in this scene she's had her lab coat on. Normally she will not have it on because she is not in sickbay or in her lab. And a scene later, you see Dr. Crusher without a lab coat. But what they just found out is that Fajo has sabotaged everything. Not surprised there, to be honest. So when they have this staff meeting, they put the dots together. And when they let the computer say out loud what Fajo is, a collector of rare and valuable objects, immediately they know it was to lure them in, and so Fajo could steal, kidnap Data. What disgusted the crew members, like I am. Faria has decided to help Data to escape, but she wants to go with him because she doesn't want to stay with Fajo. And so they make plans, and to make it soon, they already right away went to one of the some kind of an escape shuttle. And Faria is getting the escape procedures on, and she's been ambushed by one of the men of Fajo. There is a fight, shooting all over, and in this scene we see really that Fajo doesn't have any conscious how to treat life. Not even in the slightest form. And he shoots Faria. He kills her. And once again he provoked Data. And there's the moment that Data wanted to shoot Fajo, but the Enterprise beamed him up before he actually could do that. But while they are beaming him up, Miles O'Brien constated that there has been a fire weapon be fired. Hey, for the first time we see Miles O'Brien having a rank. I thought they were a bit mischievous about him having a rank, to be honest. But Data is back on the Enterprise, and there was following a little conversation, and then we see Fajo in the brig of the Enterprise, and once again Fajo is being so provoking, and because Data is visiting him, and the conversation they had was like, again, Fajo provoking Data. Data tells Fajo that his collection has been confiscated and all the stolen stuff has been back to their rightful owners. And I think that is the point that Fajo is, you have been caught and have to do his time and punishment in the next, obviously 20, 30 years, who knows. But it was a bit of satisfying that Fajo has been caught and that he is in prison right now. And thank God Data is back at his post where he's supposed to be. Thank you guys for listening, and join me in 2 weeks for a new episode recap. In the next episode, we will recap one of a special episode that I like is Sarek. Co-starring track is to listen to on Anchors, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, on the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. I want to invite you to the YouTube channel and the Facebook group so we can discuss each episode. And what do you think about doing a live discussion of an episode once in a while? Let me know. I will see you in 2 weeks. Live long and prosper.